The Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting for Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. Starting on all the way to my left is Joe Warzane. Next to him is Mark Ron. Here's Micah Warnock, James Bubar, and Kevin Lemieux. And is your title still Code Enforcement Officer? And Audrey Klein, our Code Enforcement Officer. And I'm Neil Nyman, Chair of the Board. All right, so first item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Moved by Micah and seconded by James. Is there any discussion of the agenda? Okay, all in favor of approving the agenda? Aye.
Aye.
Is anybody? Okay, great. So, do we have a full house tonight? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, Joe, you'll sit in and share with us some of your wisdom, and we'll see how everything goes. All right, so we've got 3 public hearings tonight. So without further ado, let's get started with the first public hearing. And Kevin, do you want to read it into the record?
Okay. Public hearing on petition submitted by Scott Boudreau, LLS 961 Boudreau Land Surveying on behalf of property owners Felix and Susan DeVito for an application for special exception in accordance with section 17556G, septic systems. Septic systems including leach fields may be placed closer to property lines than otherwise permitted under this chapter by special exception, but may not be placed closer to property lines than permitted by the New Hampshire DES. The property involved is shown on tax map 214, lot 28, located at 88 Durham Point Road, and is in Residence CRC zoning district.
Okay, Mr. Boudreau, welcome.
All right, thank you. Good evening. My name is Scott Boudreau, Boudreau Land Surveying. Just heard that. I'm here for an application for a special exception for a septic design for an existing lot. This lot was created back in 1977 with a state-approved subdivision, and it's been vacant since then. Skip and Susan have owned this since 1978 and have had an approved septic system on it once before, designed, never installed, back in 2007. Due to the nature of the sloping land and the wetlands to the rear of the property, this was really the best and only location to put the leach field due to the slope of the site, without having to get a conditional use permit and going into the 100-foot wetland setback. The reason that it is outside of the building envelope, just by a little bit, is because if we brought it back towards the house inside the building envelope, chasing the fill slope down the slope would take that into the conditional use buffer again, or the buffer. So that's why it is where it is, because that's the flattest area. That's where it was previously designed in 2007. And I think that's going to be the best case scenario for this septic system. The state requires septic systems to be at least 10 feet from the property lines. And this one is designed to be currently 45 feet from the side property line, and it's 27 feet from the right-of-way line along Durham Point Road, where 50 feet is required by your town for building setbacks and 30 feet for the roadway.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Boudreau? Yeah, James.
Is this an aerobic or an anaerobic septic?
It's an aerobic.
Pardon?
Aerobic. It's an enviroseptic, an advanced enviroseptic. Do you know about those? The benefit of those is you get a smaller leach field footprint and a shallower bed depth to water table.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Boudreau?
I'm kind of confused. When I was looking at this originally, looking this over, the site, I'm trying to picture where it is. As you're going towards the transfer station, there's a house at the bottom of the hill. Mm-hmm. And then where's this lot?
It's between that house and the transfer station driveway.
Seriously?
There's a sign there,
It's
you've
right on
probably
the-
seen trucks turning sign.
It's right on the hill there, huh?
Yep.
Didn't even know there was a lot there.
Anybody else have a question? All right, let's see if any members of the public would like to speak. So we'll ask you to sit down, Mr. Boudreau. Thank you. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak in favor of this special exception? Is there anybody here to speak against the special exception? Sure. Do you want to come up? You need to speak in the microphone so members at home can hear you. And if-
Can you introduce yourself?
And if you,
What's your address?
84 Durham Point. I don't understand what I saw. They've got the leach field going over onto our property. I don't know why. Put it closer to the town's property. You see the,
I don't see it being physically on your property.
it is.
I mean, it's a survey provided to us, which makes it the most recent survey on record, which means it's legally binding that this is the most accurate, and it's showing that the leach field is on his property.
Correct. It's not, right?
Either way, that's a civil argument that's
Yeah.
outside of you.
Yeah, well, that's what it's gonna be.
The state wouldn't approve it either way, like, yeah, I mean, it's,
I mean, my house, I've been there 50 years, and the reason I bought it, because the guy that built it ran out of money because the town made him put this elaborate 5-chambered septic system in. And I don't see how this one gets approved with nothing like it, you know?
Have you seen the survey?
Yeah,
Okay.
The technology for septic systems has changed a lot in the last 50 years. These Enviro systems take up a lot less room. It's technology that we didn't have 50 years ago.
would you mind just pointing on that map right there where you believe that it encroaches on your property?
you know it does. It said 12 feet onto my property. I don't know where it
Are you uphill or downhill from that site?
is. Downhill. I mean, it all goes down to the pond. All the land does. But unless they've got all ledge under there, I mean, there's no reason for it to come on my property.
so yeah, I think going to the point that, that was made by, over by Micah is that, it's not, via this map, it's not on your property. Okay, so,
Well, Skip was up my house the other day.
So without another legal survey provided by you, we have to go by this one. This is what our legal requirement is.
There'll be another legal survey.
Great.
okay.
Yeah, and if the decision made tonight is against your wishes, you have an opportunity to appeal.
It is, it is, okay.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments from the public? Seeing none, should we close the public hearing?
We'll move that we close the public hearing.
It's
Move it.
moved by Mark and seconded by Kevin. Is there any discussion about closing the public hearing? Okay, all in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye. Aye. Is anybody opposed? All right, so the public hearing is now closed.
And the property is obviously limited.
I'm assuming that this is a legal survey. It's an accurate survey.
Yeah, it's a resurvey of the one done in 1977, an updated one.
Okay.
Did you do the
Septic systems are almost they're almost self-contained. I mean, I've seen them prove that we put in like 20 feet from a seawall on Little Bay.
Yeah.
Because of that self-contained, by the time it goes through the chamber, it's almost like a cow's stomach. It comes out supposedly, I wouldn't do it, but like drinking water on the other side. But
Well, these systems are very common on lakes and things like that where they have small, postage stamp lots. So clearly, I don't think it doesn't look to be a big footprint here either. And you can clearly see the sloping land, which obviously,
steep.
yeah, it would limit things. So I get that. Can I ask him another question?
No.
Close the public
Hearing
hearing. We
closed.
can, yeah.
I didn't know if he was the designer and the surveyor.
Well, but I think the relevant point is, according to the map that we have in front of us, it's all on this owner's property and not on the abutter's property.
Right.
I mean, it says Scott Boudreaux is the surveyor of record, so that's who.
As well as a septic designer. Sometimes they can be different.
They always say Scott Boudreaux, both of them, so yeah.
Yeah. I can't see this. Come on.
So,
These are progressive lenses.
I always, yeah, there you go.
and the abutter can always appeal whatever decision this board makes. Well, let's talk about the criteria for a special exception. The members of the board believe that the criteria has been met, I mean.
It's a tough lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be buried, so I don't see how it's gonna change the character of the neighborhood.
And I don't think it's going to adversely impact the health and welfare of the neighborhood.
This keeps it
And-
farther from the wetlands, right?
And it's further from the wetlands, and it's a permitted use.
And it's
So,
using the modern aerobic system, so even if it was closer to the wetland, it wouldn't be as damaging, I guess.
so do we all believe then that the criteria for a special exception has been met?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so then I would entertain a motion.
Okay. Make a motion that we approve the petition for the special exception in accordance with 175-56G of a septic system, which includes leach fields placed closer to the property lines than otherwise permitted under the chapter by special exception, but might not be closer than the lines than the permitted by the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services, based upon the provided modern survey dated October 5th of 2025, for the purposes that they did meet the criteria of not being detrimental to the character of the adjoining neighborhood. He met the criteria for, in my eyes, for that it won't be noxious or detriment to the neighborhood as well, and it does not cause any public concern, public health issues.
All right, and do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so James will second that. Is there any further discussion of this motion? All right, all in favor of the motion? Aye?
Aye.
Is anybody opposed? Okay, so the motion passed, and you have 30 days to appeal the decision of this board. So thank you very much, Mr. Boudreaux.
All right, thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda, Kevin, would you mind reading this into the record, please?
Sure. Public hearing B, public hearing on a petition submitted by Tim Collins on behalf of property owner Almorindo Graziano for an application for administrative appeal from notice of violation decision dated 10/21/2025 that the driveway does not meet the maximum requirement of 12 feet at right-of-way. The property involved is shown on tax map 230, lot 7-1, located at 361 Durham Point Road, and is in Residence C, RC zoning district.
Is Mr. Collins here? I don't see Mr. Collins here.
Would he have been the Zoom person?
No.
No.
Well, it was
Okay.
registered as Jack Dalton.
Okay.
So this is what is it, an administrative appeal?
This is an administrative appeal, yes.
So is this the one that we think we can do without them present, or do you want
No.
to continue?
I don't really want to discuss it without the applicant, nor do I want to continue it. They had 30 days to appeal, and they should have been here this evening, or notified us that they couldn't be here this evening and continue it, and I would prefer to just let the appeal run out. It's a matter of time, unless members of the board object to that.
Well,
James?
I don't understand specifically what's being appealed.
The width
What,
of the driveway
what,
has to be
what
more than
point
12 feet.
was wrong?
They're more than 12 feet at the entrance.
No, I understand that part,
So let
but
me just go back to process first. I don't think they're required to be here for you to hear this. And
Okay.
it was submitted in a timely manner. So I think you have to
Then let's hear
rule.
it.
I read through that. Is there anything we have to vote on before we talk?
Okay, then let's,
I read through it, and I don't understand why he's appealing. I mean, he signed a thing that said it's not going to be more than 12 feet wide, he made it 30 feet wide.
okay, I'll tell you what. So thank you, Audrey. Let's open the public hearing, we'll close the public hearing, and then you can raise your views and your comments, and then we'll vote on it.
Okay, I move that we open the public hearing.
I'll second that
All right.
motion.
So, moved by Mark and seconded by James to open the public hearing. Is there any discussion about that?
How do we close the public hearing?
So, all in favor of opening the public hearing?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak to this administrative appeal? I'll go for or against the administrative appeal. Not seeing or hearing from any members of the public hearing, I'll now move that we close the public hearing. Okay. Is there any discussion about closing the public hearing?
Could I just turn your attention to the, I've put in the section of zoning that says what an administrative appeal is. I think it'd be probably good just to read that into the record.
Yeah,
Okay.
And then,
that was my point.
okay.
So we'll read that when we rule on the administrative appeal.
Okay.
So we just opened and closed the public hearing?
I don't
think we closed it.
You didn't call the vote on the closing motion. I don't
All right.
think.
Yep.
So all in favor of closing the public hearing?
Aye.
Anybody object? Okay, the public hearing is now closed.
So, yeah, not hearing any reasons why it should be 30 feet. I don't understand why we're here to discuss this. The applicant or the owner signed something saying he was going to, get a driveway permit, it's going to be 12 feet wide, and now it's 30 feet wide, so it's like, what's the reason that it needs to be 30 feet?
And I don't see any argument, frankly, to have it bigger than
30 feet,
that. I
and
mean,
12
frankly,
feet.
it looks like a longer driveway. It's got plenty of parking in the back, so it's not like a space or a parking issue. It's like, it feels like just the want to have a wide opening.
So can I just go back and say that there's a potential that this person could apply for a variance once the appeal is decided? So those issues about variances are separate than the
Right.
issues look at for an appeal. The appeal is, does the zoning language say what is needed to be done clearly or not?
Yeah. I
Basically.
think that the document that Audrey passed around in the packet is the one that we ought to start with, which essentially says administrative appeals, any person who believes the zoning administrator has made an error in the interpretation or application of the provisions of this ordinance may appeal.
Right.
And then the second part is appeals to hear and decide appeals where it's alleged that there is an error in any order, requirement, decision, or determination made by an administrative official in the enforcement of this chapter. I don't see what's being appealed. There's nothing in this appeal that says Audrey didn't understand something. It seems clear as mud that it was a 12-foot requirement.
It feels like the appeal is the enforcement of the existing code.
Yeah.
And the argument is that as an administrative appeal, we have to look at what the code says versus what Audrey said and rule if she has incorrectly interpreted that code in which it specifically states no more than 12 feet.
Correct.
End of story, right?
I'm not a lawyer, but I don't see a flaw
Yeah.
in what Audrey
I feel like
did.
I could go to the bar now because of that, right?
Well, and I don't believe the code enforcement officer made an error.
Nor do I believe that the town engineer made an error.
Correct. So can we entertain a motion?
I'll move that we deny the appeal.
I'll second that motion.
All right. Did you want,
We have to give a sentencing for why we are denying the motion.
Because we do not, I move that we deny the appeal because we do not believe that the town engineer or the code enforcement officer is in error.
Second.
all right, so that was moved by Mark and it had been seconded by James.
Micah. Oh, it had been seconded.
He'd already
Thank you.
seconded it, so we'll go with James.
Or maybe I should have said a positive way, that they did follow the zoning regulations as stated in the most recent zoning. Whatever.
Good enough.
All right, is there any discussion about the motion to deny the administrative appeal? All right, then, all in favor of denying the administrative appeal?
Aye.
Aye. Is anybody opposed? All right, so that passes unanimously and the appeal is denied. All right, let's move to item 5C. Kevin, please.
Okay. Public hearing C. Public hearing on a petition submitted by Jeff Berlin, 10 Caldwell Drive LLC, for a application for variance in accordance with Article 12.1, Table of Uses, Section 173-533A, to allow for a multi-unit building, Section 175-54, Table of Dimensions, lot size, lot area per unit, front side and rear side setbacks, building height, impervious surface ratio, and parking spaces A, B, C, and B-.2, special exception to adjust parking requirements A, B. The property involved is shown on tax map 108, lot 27, located at 10 Cowell Drive, and is in Residence A, RA zoning district.
Since I don't have a copy, could I take one of yours when we're done? So I can give it into the packet, because I should have one too. But-
Oh, you can have this one.
So if you could
Well, after you're
introduce,
done looking at
That
it.
was my error.
if you could introduce yourself and then
Jeff Berlin.
speak to your variance.
Sure thing. First thing I'd like to do is, I guess,
Could you speak a little louder, please?
a little louder.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Appreciate
I
it.
It's okay.
like to give a couple disclosures, I guess, first, and then maybe give it back to you guys and let you guys decide what you want to do. So Audrey pointed out earlier last week that the LLC that this property is held in is not active, and so it's being the steps are being taken right now to put it back in good standing, but it's not right now. I think it'll be next week, but it is not as of right now. So if you guys can't hear it today because of that, it's totally fine. I'm asking and requesting two things: that we start the discussion on it, and then I'm also proposing, again, per Audrey's recommendation to myself, I think it's a great idea that this whole thing is pretty intense and that it's sort of two separate issues: the use as a the resident multi-unit as a use, and then the dimensional requirements for such as sort of a separate conversation. So I'm proposing and sort of requesting that I can withdraw the requirements for dimensional standards right now, and we just have a discussion on the use, because if we don't grant the use, then the requirements don't matter for the dimensions.
So let me see if I heard you correctly. So you want to withdraw the use variance, or
The
you
table
wanna
of
keep the
dimensional
use variance
requirements.
and you want to withdraw?
For right now, yeah, it's just that there's so much to this entire thing that the real discussion needs to happen over the allowance of the use first, because none of the rest of it doesn't matter if the use isn't granted.
Well, let me ask, So if we just hear the first part of the application and he withdraws the second part, we have to submit a new variance request for the second part?
It would be an entirely new submittal. So I think you can probably wait to the end of this evening to decide whether you want to continue it for this information later, or if you want to withdraw this information and have a new application come in. I think you could do it either way.
I'm fine doing a separate application. I think that Audrey's probably correct that I can't really be granted anything since the LLC is not active right now, but I guess I'm just requesting that we start the discussion. And another one of the reasons for this is because the cost to design something like this is so intensive that it's just, if the use isn't granted, I just don't have any interest in doing a whole thing if it's not granted. Like, it's just so much of a cost. But the as of right, this sort of all happened because the as of right that now exists for this particular property and a lot of properties, but specifically this location, is something that I was designing. I was in the process of designing, and actually the proposed use that I'm asking for right now will look very similar to this, and it's in the packet, which is why I gave it to you, so you guys could kind of see where this was all heading, and I can describe some of that for you if you want.
Can I just say that I think with regard to the LLC, just with any decision made, that can be a condition that be, put into effect before anything else goes forward.
Questions that I have in regards to legal authority is, number one, the LLC legally still owns the property because that's what it is, but the actual LLC itself is not in good standings, which means that there is no administrator of the LLC, which means there's nobody to speak on behalf of the LLC.
It's been administratively dissolved. However, the advice we've been given is that's only a piece of paper that can be made whole in a short period of time, and that you can still hear the case. If that's an outstanding issue, then we'll just name that as something that has to be turned in. If it's not, let's just say you approved everything and there is no owner. I mean, they can't take effect on that anyway, so.
Right.
I thought variances went with the property, not the owner.
That's true, but the owner needs to make the application, and Jeff is representing 10 Cal Drive LLC as its registered person. However, 10 Cal Drive LLC is not at the moment got all its paperwork to be active.
This is my fault, 100%. Sorry about
Can I
this.
ask him
If-
what
I should have.
I'm not a lawyer, can we
Is
just
he,
continue this?
is he
Yeah,
to be
part
safe?
of the ownership group, or is he built, okay.
So, I mean, if you're uncomfortable with that, you could open the hearing, which, did you open the hearing?
We're still in the process of.
Yeah, you could open the hearing and continue it until that piece of paper comes along and then have the discussion, but you could also do it the other way around with a condition.
So what's the will of the board?
I mean, I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, I don't have a problem getting the preliminaries out of the way.
I hear his concern about going and doing all this other legwork and outlaying money if it's a moot point anyways, so I don't mind, like Audrey said, we could always make the variance exception be contingent on all that paperwork being filed the way it needs to. So I don't have an issue with kind of being cognizant of the money aspect.
Yeah, we're all here with the information in front of us, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think the issue, and maybe that's why Mark is rumphing, is he legally in a position to represent the interests of the property?
Is it going to cost him any more if it's continued to next month?
Well,
I mean, he's not going to be,
well, the alternative would be
I assume
to-
it's going to be continued to next. I'm sorry to interrupt. I assume it's going to be, and I'm not saying that I clearly care about the money, but if we have to refile for, again, the second half of this, or even for another public hearing on this exact thing, I'm really genuinely here in good faith, and I'm open and really willing to have this entire discussion over as many hearings as you guys want, because I think that this is a very important thing, and I don't want to screw it up, and I don't want to rush it. And so I'm here to...
I have a couple of points on that. Number one, I can see this becoming a highly controversial project in which little voices find bigger voices, getting more people involved, looking for little things to nitpick, and they find this where we don't have the actual leader of the LLC providing everything to us. Number two, I don't want to sit here and digest your arguments and then have to come back in a month or two and try to remember your arguments to come back and dig it up. I'd rather just do it all at one time and have the LLC complete. Number one, I don't see any criteria spoken about in here. I'd like to see criteria in which they can speak for as well.
It is in the, unless I'm misunderstanding
Yeah,
something,
well, Sort
The
of,
5 criteria are attached behind this top page.
but they only address one of the variance requests.
I'm just
All right.
telling you that this is what was turned in for the criteria.
So I'm going to assert myself as chair of the board for a moment. So let's tidy things up a little bit, because we're confusing a lot of different issues and things are going off in a number of different directions. So Mr. Boleyn, correct me if I'm wrong, you would like to have a variance application to this board that speaks specifically to the table of uses, Article 12.1, Section 175-53. That's your first bullet point. And you would like to withdraw the next 2 bullet points so that we're just focused on this just the table of use variance. Is that correct? And then if we choose at some point to grant the table of use variance, then you will come back to this board with a new application, which will then
I think
speak
be a full design.
specifically to the table of dimensional requirements and the parking.
I would say yes, that's correct, exactly what you just said. The only thing I would sort of add to that is that I think part of this is that I'd like to have discussions about the dimensions so that I can use that as feedback to an actual design if the use of multi-unit residence is granted.
So, and I don't think that the board would object to giving you some guidance or feedback, but I just want to, I was concerned, Michael, when you said, well, you haven't given us the criteria. I think he has with respect to the table of uses. I'm not sure he has for the other things, but if he's withdrawing the other things, I feel that if it seems like we're going to approve the table of uses, and I'm not suggesting that we are or not, then I would like to give him some guidance in terms of what he would need to come back with in order to talk about the other issues. Yes, James.
We actually have someone here who could speak from a planning board perspective, if the public hearing is still open. My concern is, excuse me, if we approve the variance for the multifamily, that then forces a site plan application. And those regulations are different than these regulations. And when it comes to the setbacks, my understanding is the planning board has full authority to modify the setbacks using the same criteria we would as a special exception. There would be no need to talk to us about setbacks.
I don't think that's correct.
Well,
I think
it's-
that if this goes to the planning board, they would identify that there's some zoning ordinances that aren't met. They can't change the zoning ordinances. They would send it back to the board for variances.
No, that's not what the site plan says, regulations. That they can adjust the setbacks.
Well, I've never
Can
seen
we-
that happen.
Well,
We don't have a public hearing. Proposed speaker.
I'm staff.
No, but I'll let him speak.
If Audrey will allow me to speak as staff.
No, I'm the one who chooses not to allow you to speak, but I will allow you to speak. If you could just introduce yourself.
Paul Rasmussen, Planning Board Chair.
And what's happening right now, James, is there's two sets of rules involved. There's the zoning ordinance and there's the site plan regulations. And site plan regulation requirements can be waived by the planning board. Zoning ordinances have to be done here. So the table of uses and the tables of dimensions, that's zoning ordinance, so that you have to come here for those variances. But things that are in the site plan regs, like required parking, I believe, ends up, some of the parking stuff anyways, in site plan regs, lighting, those types of things are allowed to be waived at the planning board's discretion.
Site plan regs specifically state that the planning board can adjust the setbacks.
If that's in the site plan regs, then yes. And it might only pertain to certain setbacks, not all. I'm not sure because I have not read that section recently.
Okay.
I believe it would be the planning board can use its discretion within the constraints set by the zoning ordinance. I do not believe that the planning board can violate.
I don't agree.
Well, because it's a zoning ordinance, right?
Yeah.
So the setbacks are zoning ordinances, so that is the purview of the zoning board.
So yeah, if a variance for this dimensionals would be granted, or would be denied by the zoning board, but then they could come back and go to the planning board and get it through them, that would be circumventing the code, which would be a problem. So the specific variance that we can address, they cannot advance, just like things that they address, we don't address.
So,
My knowledge.
so I believe what would happen, and I could be wrong, and Mr. Berlin is here this evening. He would like to, he's filed an application for a variance from the table of uses, which is appropriate to come to this board. He needs to know whether he's going to be allowed to have a multi-unit apartment or not in this zone. If this board decides that he's permitted, that they're going to give him relief from the zoning ordinance and allow him to build a multi-unit, then I believe what I heard him say, and you can correct me at any point, that he's willing to invest the dollars needed to come up with a robust plan, which he could then go to the planning board. And the planning board can say, well, okay, we like the plan, but the zoning ordinance says you got to be within X feet or whatever. And your plan, is within that buffer or whatever, you need to go to the zoning board. And then he could come to the zoning board after he's worked out his site plan with the planning board, and the planning board would say, okay, you don't meet, what we think works for this site does not meet these conditions of the zoning ordinance, so you need to go to the zoning board and apply for a variance. And at that point, then he would come to the zoning board and we would have a plan. And he would come speaking, wanting specific relief for certain elements of his plan that he's discussed with the planning board. And then we would evaluate his request for relief from this plan that he's taken to the planning board. And at that time, Mr. Berlin, I'm sure, will speak directly to the requirement, the criteria with respect to his specific plan, which is fully engineered, that he's taken to the planning board, that the planning board has said, oh, there's a problem relative to the zoning board, the zoning, you need to go to the zoning board for relief.
Sounds very logical, Chair. No.
Did you follow that?
I did, yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
It does. The only thing I would add to that is that the number of units, which sort of comes into play with the multi-unit variance. I don't know how to include that as part of this. I'm trying to figure out how that would be included as part of this discussion, because it's a very important piece as far as what I need to go for that design.
So you're speaking
Have it
directly to this minimum lot area per dwelling unit?
That's
Is-
correct.
Is that the issue?
Yeah, that's correct. I should have said that about 10 minutes ago.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Have you done this a million times? Then don't.
Never, and to be honest with you, because of my, I've been made aware by a number of people because of my reputation, how this is even a thing now, that I was going to face some opposition. I'm actually shocked that no one's here, to be honest with you. So I was a bit prepared for sort of a completely other argument, and then I was made aware of a few things, and so, and I do agree with Audrey's assessment, actually, which she might be shocked to hear, but I do appreciate her feedback on this. I'm genuinely here in good faith. The problem is that I have a very low level of trust, unfortunately, and I hope that you understand. It's not with you guys specifically. It's just because of my relationship with the town, and I need specific things permitted in order to make that investment, because I think you guys can appreciate that. I mean, it's a very important piece to this, is that number of units, and the rationale behind it. I'm willing to have a discussion on. I think Paul would be willing to talk to it as well. It's something that needs to be talked about across the town now that the laws in New Hampshire have changed, because the incentives that you need to create in order to get what the town is requesting, which is workforce housing, you have to edit this, because right now, before it made sense for the way the zoning was allowed before, but now that the New Hampshire laws have changed, this incentivizes large bedroom counts per unit. And we need to incentivize via the zoning the exact opposite of that. And that's what my proposal is, basically.
Okay, but you understand that the zoning board does not write the zoning ordinance.
No, I know, but I'm just explaining why.
We just provide relief from the zoning. I just want to make sure that we're clear on that.
Yeah.
All right, so continuing with this, trying to be neat and tidy, what I'm hearing you say now is, all right, so what I would like from this variance application is I'm seeking relief from Article 12.1, Section 175-53, Table of Uses, and I'm seeking relief from the Table of Dimensional Requirements, minimum lot area per dwelling unit. And the rest of it, we'll just forget about it, as far as this variance application is concerned.
Yeah,
And
I think so.
So, in looking at that relief from the minimum area per dwelling unit, and this might also go to any other reliefs you might need to see in this first part, is there going to be a figure set? For relief, like we're allowing 750 square feet of lot per dwelling unit. Are you going to get that granular with it?
yes,
Okay.
that's my intention, is to get that granular with it. Because he will need that then when he goes to drop his plans and to go to the planning board and saying, I have permission to build X number of units or what have you. So yes,
Okay.
I believe we would need to be that granular. Now, whether we have the information that we need in order to make that decision or not is a different issue. But right now,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to clarify what we're talking about. And I'm going to come back to, whether the board needs a legal representative from this LLC before we can start this conversation. But we haven't gotten to that point. I'm just trying to clarify what it is we're going to discuss when it comes time to
You had
have a
it.
discussion.
You just said it, and so your latest where you guys are at is 100% it.
So is that what you
Yep.
want? Not,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
So when we have a conversation about the variance request, that's what we're going to be talking about. Now, whether we have the information we need or whatever, that's another story. But now that we've clarified what we're going to be talking about, my question is, do we begin that conversation tonight, or do we wait to have that conversation when the legal status of the LLC has been resolved?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Did you consider going to the planning board and requesting that this lot be reassigned as part of the Church Hill district?
I want to be really careful with how I answer this because part of what I was going to talk about tonight was sort of this, but it is part of my options, and I was advised that this should be my first route.
In the Church Hill district, multifamily is a permitted use. And they have most of your setbacks that you're looking for.
You're correct. Yeah, you're 100% correct. And like I said, I was advised that this should be the first place that I go with this to initiate the discussion on. So really, what we just talked about this dwelling square footage per dwelling unit is sort of, in a way, the crux of this whole thing, which is why I'm sad I didn't mention it a lot earlier. But obviously, the use is a huge thing, and that's what we're talking about now. I was advised to come here to start this discussion. This is the perfect lot. You know, in my opinion, if there's a case for a variance of this nature, it's this lot. When you look at the map, to me, it's a no-brainer. I'm not putting that out there as like on you guys, but really it comes down to that if this is a thing that could start happening or may start happening, in order to incentivize the right type of housing that the town is declaring that they want, we do need to address this issue. And so the people that have advised me to come here first may just not even think that it was going to get anywhere here. I honestly don't know. I think they might just want the discussion to start here. I honestly don't know. But again, I'm genuinely here because I think this is an important piece. It's very close to the downtown. When my family and other people in the neighborhood and the town were concerned that I was rushing towards my as of right project and doing it, without really sort of taking the time to come here in good faith and propose this. And so I was convinced to do that, and that's why I'm here.
So have you been in front of the, I just want to kind of back up. Do you have a site plan at all? Have you been in front of the planning board at all? No, so this is just, you're coming in, because someone said to you, hey, these are going to be your variance obstacle, or these are going to be your zoning obstacles, you need to get a variance first. Is that how this? Okay.
I was made aware of both options that Mr. Bubar just brought up, the second one, and yeah.
So you haven't been in front of the planning board, so this is preliminary stuff for you. Do we have, there's a conceptual for planning? Now that you have conceptual, do you have conceptual applications for
No.
planning? You don't have
So
that?
for zoning, you mean?
Yeah, well, that's my question. I know that for planning, don't you have conceptuals?
For the planning board, yes.
But do you have it for zoning?
No.
Because I feel like this fits more under that than, because we can't really get too granular with this stuff. Number one, for the fact that the representation thing aside, but I just feel like some of this is cart before the horse kind of stuff, and I understand he wants to get some answers on stuff before he moves forward, but it also leaves us in a spot where, I just felt like we just talked around a bunch of circles, and I'm kind of like, I don't know where exactly we're at with a lot of this stuff. So, and I just feel like he's being careful with some of the stuff he's saying, and we're kind of being careful, and it's like, well, at least if it's a conceptual, we can be on the record and kind of be forthcoming. You see what I'm
Two
saying?
capitals don't end up
Yeah,
doing
I just feel
much.
like everyone's just like, well, maybe we could do, and it's like,
My concern is, in general, I don't have a problem with housing. It just seems like it's a planning function, and we shouldn't be doing it lot by lot. We should be looking at, from a planning function, where does it make the most sense for this type of housing to be developed?
but that is how it starts.
Yeah,
It
that-
starts
that-
with a person
Well,
or two.
it does, but then it starts with
That was
the
a
plan.
longer conversation. Looking at a zoning line change is a much bigger, broader picture. It was an option, take longer, will involve probably more than just one lot.
Oh, yeah.
And so
And a lot of
this
public
path
hearings.
is one of the more focused path just for this parcel. If it's a zoning change for a zoning line, that's a much bigger picture, so it kind of goes, it goes in a different
But in
path.
reality, what we're being asked to do is move this lot into the Churchill district, effectively.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking, like, I mean, what he's trying to do is.
Not really. Remember, this is a variance and it's restricted once you approve it under very specific circumstances. It doesn't get to take all the other things that the, downtown gets. It's
We're
still
not talking
restricted.
down to Churchill, but
Churchill, right.
So I want to get back to, and we can continue to give Mr. Berlin advice, and I certainly.
I have a concern with that as well.
But before we continue down this road, I just want to figure out what we're doing this evening and whether we're going to hear the case with the LLC not being in good standing, or you want to say to Mr. Berlin, come back next month when you've cleaned all that up. And if you say, come back next month when you clean that up, we can continue to give him some advice. And I certainly have some thoughts I would share with him. But let's just figure out what we're doing tonight, okay?
Because I'm not in favor of hearing the case being that the LLC is not in good standing. That's my first.
Neither am I.
That's my first concern. The second involved is giving advice as a board. We are lay people. We are not a certified zoning administrator. So if we give advice and it turns out to be incorrect advice and he goes on the advice of the board, the town is liable for damages. So I don't feel confident in the board giving advice. I feel confident in Audrey giving advice for the purposes of the zoning, being a certified zoning administrator.
Can we hold off before we have that conversation? I just want to know whether we're hearing this case tonight or not. And then,
I'm
and
not-
then we can discuss whether we're going to give him advice or not and what the advice would be and so on and so forth. I just want to get through this and figure out what we're doing. James, do you want the LLC to be sort of strained out before we hear the case, or you're fine hearing the case without?
I actually would just as soon see a whole new variance application. So I think I'm saying, yes, I'd like to see the LLC reconstituted or reborn, or not, and we have the official owner representing the property.
All right, and-
But
I sort of agree with Mike on that. I think this could be controversial. I agree with Mr. Berlin, and I'm surprised there aren't a lot of people here opposing it. So I really think that all our ducks need to be in order before we hear this case.
And do you agree with that, Kevin?
Yeah, I think short term, obviously you made the effort to be here and done a lot of stuff. But I think it's the board's intent is to really protect ourselves, but yourself as well. So I
Don't go inviting anybody that doesn't want to come, but
no, but I think it's more just looking after your best interest.
Yeah, no,
Because
I
we'd hate to have you go
understand.
all this way. So I'm fine with waiting.
And would you agree with all this, Joe?
It makes sense, yeah.
All right, so Mr. Berlin, is it okay with you to wait till January when you've cleaned up your LLC and perhaps submit a new application, or just change submit a new application, but a different set
There's
of
two ways.
paperwork?
There's two ways. You could withdraw all of this right now, submit a new application completely for the number one plus any advice you're getting, or you can open the meeting and continue it on the same application, waiting for the LLC, and in the meantime, Mr. Berlin can provide additional information.
Audrey, does he have to pay another $488?
Yes.
So I think continuing it would be a nicer thing to do.
you know what? Can I put in? This might surprise Audrey, but I think Micah brought up at the beginning. Now that you brought up the fact, someone could appeal this and then bring this up. I think maybe it actually would make sense to just file a completely new one. I mean, it was my error. I'd like to eliminate that. I mean, again, I'm genuinely here, and I'm not going to take any advice that you guys go and then like hammer. I genuinely want feedback, because that's the whole point. I told a number of people this. I'm totally fine just moving forward with this house. It's what I was going to be doing from the beginning. I didn't even really comprehend this option until I was designing this house. And then I realized that of all the people that were coming to me complaining about it, they were all saying that, why can't you do a multifamily? And I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, I know why. But it was like, oh, yeah. So then I had a meeting with some people, and they're like, this is the way that you should go. So, I want to get this right. And if it's something that you guys are interested in tackling, I want to have that discussion with
Right.
every bit of feedback that
I
you guys
just want to
have.
be clear, if you're going to withdraw it and start over, you can't give advice at
Oh,
that part,
okay.
point.
So it's only after they open the hearing?
The ZBA doesn't have an informal way to advise applicants unless they have something in front of them, unless they have a
That's
case in
open,
front of them.
okay.
So,
You're more knowledgeable than us anyways.
what?
You're more knowledgeable than us anyways.
Well, the advice that he's going to be looking for is the material that you all need to make the decision.
Correct.
So, I mean, I've made suggestions and I can make suggestions, but when it comes down to it, you need to look at the material and say, I can vote yes on a multifamily based on, this drawing, that information, these calculations. He can probably do a better job than this, but still, in the end, you're going to be asking for certain information. And then you can continue it if it looks likely it will be forthcoming very quickly.
Could I ask a question then in that case? So,
Yes.
I think it comes down to if what do you need for the use, right? So I've provided, now I can't remember if it was part of the original application or not.
Well, this is the problem that Audrey just referenced. So if we're gonna speak about this application and then continue it, we can tell you exactly.
I'm gonna move that we open it. And then if we don't have the information we need, like we don't have the proper authorization, then we can just continue the meeting.
Isn't that opposite of what you just said before?
No,
Okay.
no, I'm gonna say we open a meeting, and then once we open it, we go, well, he's not a representative, so we're gonna need that, and then we're gonna need this, and we're gonna need that, and so then we continue.
So the issue is, one view is to open it and continue it. The other view is a clean application. He spends another, $488 or whatever, and we start from square one.
Isn't it a clean application?
In
though?
regards to use, I mean, I don't have a problem with what he's got on here. It's just the fact that we don't have the appropriate legal personnel to argue on his behalf.
Is it not clean to open it and then find out that, well, we don't have the right person here, so we need the right person. And we also need this, and the other. That's not
And we
clean.
can discuss this, and if at a later date he withdraws it.
Yeah, and
what's-
the
what's
applicant
the
also
harm?
said they would want to start clean also.
I might might change my mind on that.
Oh.
I don't know. It seems like maybe it might be the best option to open it to get the feedback that maybe Micah was just getting towards. The other thing I just don't want anyone to be confused on, those drawings that you see are not for like when you look through the layouts, you'll see they're not. That is the rooming house drawings. I was providing that to show you what the design's not going to be much different than that. Really what it comes down to is when you look at the survey, that is what's showing you the overhead survey of the bigger building and the bigger parking surface is showing you sort of what this whole variance request would be from above.
Are you the property owner?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
you
sir.
are the property owner?
Yes, sir.
He's not. The LLC is the property.
The- well-
He's the he is the.
It was,
Right, well,
If it existed, he would be the appointed person.
Micah is 100% correct.
Well,
For what
because
you're
my
asking,
question-
I own the building, yes.
Well, because my question is because it doesn't have to be the owner, it can be a representative, right? Like,
Yeah.
But the business is not in good standing to give a representative to come show us.
Yeah, but it,
Nothing exists in that building that can legally give him the right to come and argue on their behalf, because we have to show that. The LLC doesn't exist, so there is no appointed custodial of the appoint to appoint the person to come speak for them. And I don't mean to like trying to be a stick in the mud. I mean, I went through this in assessing, was in court multiple times, where like I didn't give them permission to speak on my behalf. So it's like it's a very easy case.
I was looking at that, I'm like, maybe that can be the workaround.
And the other
but-
argument, which
Fair enough.
continue concerns me, is the whole advice thing. The whole point of the entire process with this, and I understand it can get very taxing and expensive, but again, this level of a variance is so consequential to the neighborhoods that this really should be through you really should have a lawyer for this, frankly. And I understand that's going to blow that budget out of the water quickly. I could very easily. But I mean, that's kind of the argument, is like the people who read and understand the code can put forth the law and the argument to help the boards in the town to make the best decision for the citizens as well as the property owner themselves.
So it might have been wrong advice. I was advised by an attorney that the money to spend on him would be in the appeal and not here. And Audrey does agree with you, and that he should be here. And I'm well aware of the advice, and I totally understand. Unfortunately, like I said, it's a really unfortunate, and maybe this is me not necessarily here in good faith, I guess you could say, but the amount of money that you have to spend on this thing to get there is. It's not even like I grew up here. And so, if this was a town that I didn't care about, I wouldn't even be here right now. So when I ask, I know what the lines say in the code of what we're supposed to do, but I'm looking for any ability of assistance to try to make this work, because I think it's so important, and I'm trying to do it within my budget and within what I'm willing to spend. And I'm not even saying I'm not willing to spend that. I just need some types of guarantees here. And it's a really important piece of the town, I think.
Yeah, and I totally respect that as well. And frankly, I'm just hearing your conversation. You're not the concern. It's other people. Somebody gets upset, somebody doesn't like it, and then it starts to like, oh, well, Micah said this, or Neil said that, or that's kind of where I'm like, we don't need to be doing that.
Then you're gonna have lawyers. Then you're gonna have lawyers.
Yeah, right.
So it's not a requirement in the state of New Hampshire that he retain legal counsel and bring legal counsel to the zoning board.
Absolutely agree.
Right.
So I want to, and I guess I'm just going to keep doing this all night until I accomplish what I want, which is.
Can I just say one thing? I'm not sure at what point he can legally withdraw his application. I was looking through our rules of procedure. Some of them say that it has to be withdrawn before the public hearing opens. Some of them doesn't say that. I don't recall a state law that says when you can or cannot withdraw. I just want to bring that up. I don't know the answer to it.
If the application is denied, can he immediately refile a variance request?
Not the same variance. It would have to
It
be
wouldn't be, okay.
substantially different.
So it's my understanding that what we're trying to figure out at this point is whether he's a legal representative of the property or not, and whether he can speak to the property. And I thought, I heard from all the members of this board, that technically this evening he is not legal representative of the property. And so he can't bring this case to the board tonight because he has no standing to do that. And it's my understanding when I polled the members of this board that everybody said, well, I don't want to hear this case unless the person speaking is the legal representative of the property. End of story, right? So if you can't have your cake and eat it too. So if that's your position, you can't say, well, I'm going to open the public hearing and we're going to talk about it. We're going to give them some advice and then we're going to continue it because you just said that he's not the legal representative and he's not allowed to represent the property in front of this board. So figure out which way you want to go.
Do you want a motion?
What?
Do you want a motion?
Sure.
I make a motion to continue the hearing, set C for Jeff Berlin of 3 Cal Drive,
But
Durham, New Hampshire.
you can't continue it unless you open it.
I thought we did open it.
No, we haven't opened it.
No,
Yeah, we've literally just
Did
been
you
talking.
did you read it in?
I read it.
Then it's open.
Well,
So, wait, Audrey, have we not opened a public hearing? Because if that's the case, then I think I'll just withdraw it
we
right
have
now
not, I
verbally.
don't believe we've opened the public
So,
hearing.
so are
No,
we
we
within the
have not.
We're
rules?
talking about process.
If,
not-
are-
I moved to
Case.
open it, but nobody voted on it.
Audrey, are we within the rules if I withdraw it right now?
You
I
do
believe
that
so,
well,
yeah.
too.
So if I withdraw it right now, then, because I actually, I'm trying to put a lawyer hat on right now, and I think that, well, I think that's essentially what we're doing, right?
So,
So the choices are, I think the withdrawal is, at the place that it needs to be withdrawn is before deliberation. And, you know, right now, we've only been talking about process issues. We really, you all haven't really been talking about substantive issues.
so what, and Audrey, you can stop me at any point and say, Neil, you're wrong, and I'll respect you, and we'll still speak in the morning. There is no legal representative for this property here this evening, so there is no business before the board.
Aren't there times when somebody doesn't show up and we just say, okay, we'll visit this in the next meeting?
Boy,
There have been times when we've done.
But we would have to open the public hearing and continue
No,
it.
no, the person's not here, so. we
People
don't
have
open it.
called in advance to
Right.
ask for it to be postponed.
Right.
But we still have
What's
to
the
open and
difference if you
continue it.
just,
No.
Because once the public notice goes out, it's going to happen.
right, you have to do
Yeah.
something, right?
Once the public notice is out, it has to happen. We as the
true.
board, and we've done it multiple, we've opened up the hearing, we voted to continue it, and then we closed.
The application requested that we continue it.
I think either way can happen, so.
Yeah. It's almost like he called Audrey and said, hey, I can't make it. Can you guys mind postponing it?
Yeah, my LLC can't make it.
Right.
Well, I'm now worried that when I submitted the application, I had no right to do that, and so, per the paperwork. And so I'm actually requesting to withdraw it right now so that I can get the paperwork correct and have standing
You can
before-
vote on that.
We can't.
Yeah, you can vote to allow him to withdraw it now.
Do I need to second his motion?
We need to make a motion to accept Mr. Collins's request,
Not
Berlin,
or excuse me,
no worries.
Berlin, excuse me, Mr. Collins, we
That's the last guy.
make a motion I make a motion
to allow.
to allow Mr. Berlin's request to withdraw the application.
But he's not the legal representative.
There's no
This
business.
is an Excel error right here.
So based upon the knowledge we have,
Circular
there is
error.
no legal representation for that. So then we have to make a decision on what we're going to do with the case, which this say would be open it, continue it, close it.
Continue until legal representation
Shows
is present.
Well, we have to give a date, which would be the next month or,
And then he could always call if he's not ready,
well, I mean, he,
or the legal rep can call.
So again, I guess the point is, it's not what you all think, it's what that they're all gonna think.
correct.
What we probably should do is continue it. You should probably talk to a lawyer and figure that out and just see where you're at and just, I guess that's really all we can offer. I mean, because I think we're talking in circles.
I would agree. Continue it.
Did you want to say something?
Whatever you guys wanted to continue it, yeah, continue it.
Continue it, talk to your
Yep.
lawyer, and if it's gonna be something that needs to keep continuing, then keep continuing, or if it gets to a point that you just need to withdraw, then withdraw.
Sure,
I feel like
yep.
making that exact decision right now.
Sure.
I don't wanna put you in a spot, I don't wanna put us in a spot. We can continue it, and if it's,
So I believe we have to make a motion to close the public hearing based upon no representation of the applicant. We then, somebody would make a motion to continue it until next month, and so that they can get the appropriate ownership corrected and prepared.
We didn't open it yet, so we'll have to open it first before we
Right.
close it, right? Yep.
So,
And I did make a motion to open it a while ago, so,
Open the
Public hearing.
public hearing.
public hearing? Okay.
Anyone want to second the motion?
Sure, I'll second it.
I'd ask not to open that hearing and just let me withdraw and say that this can't even be heard right now because someone who was not owning the property at the time of the application did not submit
That would be
it.
like not taking any jurisdiction, I think.
I apologize for that.
No,
No, it's okay.
Totally makes sense. Yeah.
It's complicated stuff.
And when we have to make the appropriate steps so we don't have a million challenges.
So let me see if I understand what we're doing.
Number 4.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Thought we had it.
So I'm hearing now the will of the board is to open the public hearing. Then we're going to say, is there a legal representative of this property who can speak to this application? No one will speak. There is no legal representative. And then we'll say, well, without legal representation, we really can't discuss this application this evening. And then somebody will move to continue it to the next meeting. And then between now and the next meeting, Mr. Berlin can decide if he wants to withdraw the application or not,
Right,
Sounds good.
and how you want to proceed.
Yep.
Does that,
I like it. Let's do something.
all right. So now we've had a motion by Mark
And a
to
second by
open the
me.
public hearing and a second by Micah.
And the next date is the 13th of January. It's a good long time.
All right. So is there any discussion about opening the public hearing? All right, so all in favor of opening the public hearing? Aye. Nobody's opposed to that. Is there a legal representative of the property who wishes to speak to this variance application?
I don't see one.
Seeing none,
I move that we close the public hearing.
No, do we close it or we just continue it?
Close it so we can make our decision, and our decision will be to continue.
You don't want to close it because
Oh,
the whole point is it has to remain open.
we'll close it.
I move that we continue.
You're just
the public
continuing
hearing.
it.
all right, so Mark
To
is
January
13th.
13th, you said?
Yes.
I move we continue this until January 13th of
And do we have a second for that?
2026.
Second.
All right, is there any discussion about continuing the public hearing till January 13th? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
job.
carrying on.
Good job.
All right, now
That was
let's
harder than hearing the case.
move. I don't know where I did with my agenda. I think the next item on the agenda would be the minutes, is that?
Yes.
Thank you, Mark. I don't see any other business. Is there any other business?
No.
I don't see any other business.
We addressed enough business for one day.
Yep.
All right, approval of the minutes. Now, I think that we have two sets of minutes. The minutes from September 9th, 2025, we did not approve that because we wanted to insert some language where I had spoken to the applicant and made them aware that there were only 4 members present. So if you'll see, starting at line 13 in the italics, prior to the start of the meeting, Chair Neil Nyman asked the applicant if they would like to proceed with their application this evening with only 4 members of the zoning board in attendance. The applicants agreed to go forward with their application this evening. And that's the only change to the minutes. So at this point, then, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes with that change
So move.
for Tuesday, September 9th, 2025, and that's moved by Micah and seconded by
I'll second.
Kevin. Thank you. Is there any discussion about the minutes from September 9th? Okay, so all in favor of approving the minutes for September 9th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is anybody opposed?
And I'm not voting because I wasn't here.
All right, so Mark is abstaining. All right, so now let's get to the minutes from Tuesday, October 14th. Did anybody see anything that needed
No.
correcting?
I didn't see it.
Those
No, I
minutes
didn't
look
see
fine?
it.
All right, then at this point, I'll look for a motion to adopt the minutes from Tuesday, October 14th, 2025.
So moved.
Moved by Mark and seconded by James. Is there any further discussion of the minutes from October 14th? All in favor of adopting the minutes from October 14th, say aye. Aye. Is anybody opposed? All
Mike
right.
is abstaining.
I'm going to abstain as well.
All right, so we have two abstentions, Micah and Kevin. Were you there?
I was there.
Do you want, are
I'm
you
in favor
voting
of
to
approving
approve?
minutes.
Okay, great. So that's 4 in favor with 2 abstentions. All right, so at this point then, I think I get to entertain a motion to adjourn, is that correct?
So moved.